Hi everyone, it's Linda McKenna from Golden Rule Senior Placement Services coming to you today with Tuesday Talks. Our second episode in April of 2024, we're going to be talking about and celebrating Occupational Therapy Month. And in lieu of that, our topic today to discuss is what is occupational therapy, ADLs, activities of daily living, and how does the service support your senior loved one? This comes very prevalent to us in placing for senior living because there is a lot that is assessed with your loved ones' ADLs. Is for the reason is that they might be needing care to compensate for them not being independent and being able to do that. And a lot fringes on the financial support of that. If applying for the veterans benefit, this is something that they have to qualify for needing ADLs coverage and care, so they can't be labeled as independent. And the same thing with the long-term care Medicaid program. So these are the criteria that you have to have at least 3 of the ADLs that are compromised. So what are ADLs, activities of daily living? Very much supported by occupational therapy that helps and encourages independence and makes sure that they're strengthened enough when maybe after a stroke, with dementia, after a major fall or head injury, a TBI, a total brain injury. A lot of the times that OT, occupational therapy, is ordered for those of your loved ones or an individual that has suffered that disease process. And what ends up happening is they constantly are redirecting and retraining. So the ADLs are transferring from maybe the bed to a chair, transferring maybe the wheelchair to the bed or to a chair. So that is one of the ADLs. It's also bathing. Bathing is something that we take for granted that somebody should remember how to do that. But remember, a lot of seniors are not bathing as much on their own because of their fear of falling. So there is safety measures that the occupational therapist puts into place to make sure that they can do the bathing on their own, especially if they're compromised because of a stroke on their left side or right side. There's some adaptive equipment that is utilized. Bathing sometimes requires a standby assist. So what it means is that that senior loved one goes to the shower assisted by a caregiver and helping with the shower itself. Grooming is something very, very important as well. We take it for granted. Brushing our teeth, brushing our hair, really using a lot of the upper modalities, our upper half of our body, is to do the things that we do on a regular basis. Again, washing our face and doing all those items on a daily basis. Again, we take it for granted. So grooming is another aspect of that could be challenged, especially after a fall or a disease process such as a severe stroke. Then there's also dressing. A lot of times this is very, very tricky with a lot of our clients. They said they can dress, but then they have a tendency maybe being in the same clothes for 3 days. So they're not dressing appropriately or cleansing themselves, bathing. That's obvious as well too. But the dressing component also must consider is the lower extremities. They might be able to get maybe their shirts on or a house dress on that is loosely fitting, but when it comes down to putting on socks and shoes, it becomes a problem. So either they're barefoot or they stay in socks all day long. So dressing is a major component that we need to look at, not take it for granted that they're doing all of their dressing. Medication management is something, again, we take for granted that even if we put them in pill boxes for our loved ones and that they're counted for each day, and we take it upon, us being caregivers, if we're going out to work, that your loved one is following the directions, is taking the AM meds, lunch meds, and also evening meds. Some fall on the floor. Some are not taken on purpose. Maybe they're thrown away. Or some are mishandled. Meanwhile, they're taking out of the next day and they're doubling up on it rather than them forgetting that they actually took it. So again, medication management is something that is one of the ones that we really need to zone in on. I really say when they go into senior living, there is really, other than very independent, that there is no disease processes and they really are not compromised, that they can manage their meds. But most times when you're in senior living, you need this actual tool to help you along and making sure you're taking those right meds. There is charges for all these. That's what I'm saying, that why we have to really look at it. And the form is filled out for when somebody goes into senior living. It's called an 1823 form. It is filled out by the doctor. So either they're independent, that they could do it on their own. Number two, they need some supervisory aspects of it, oversight. Three, they're assisted, or there's total assist. That means that they're not able to do it at all. So again, these items that we're talking about should not be taken lightly at all. Even something as walking is very much an ADL. Again, we take it for granted. And remember, when you're at home, you might not be using the assisted devices that the doctor has prescribed. So because they know that the landscape of their own home. Going into senior living, they're probably going to be walking more, so an assisted device might be needed just to help with balance and duration of their mobility. So maybe a walker, maybe it's a cane, or maybe it's even a wheelchair. Some doctors are not understanding that there is a need to check that off. If somebody's using a walker, they need assistance with walking. As described in my conversation with one of the physicians over all these years of doing senior placement, is that an assisted device is needing assistance. It might not require a person, but it might need a device. Sometimes what they call standby assist, like we're talking about in the bathroom, or two-person assist in transferring them. Again, they're using somebody to help them to transfer, so they're dependent on that assistance. These are very, very important. We should not take very lightly at all. If somebody's remaining at home, all the more reason if they're not getting care by home care coming in. Remember, home health is intermittent. They're only out there for an hour. There's skilled care where home care could be out there for 24/7. They are custodial and companionship, but those ADLs should be in place where that caregiver could be helping with the bathing and the grooming and the shower and the dressing and all. So again, if there is somebody that's doing it maybe in the morning hours, well, let's not assume that somebody at night is not needing assistance with going to the toilet. So that's another ADL, is toileting. Again, we take that for granted. Maybe your loved one is on a brief. They're not knowing when they're wetting themselves. So toileting is also part of the cleanliness of using those briefs or those diapers or those pads. They need to be changed often. Because if not, with toileting, or as we spoke in many other videos before, is dehydration, not having enough fluids in you. A lot of seniors are prone to urinary tract infections, which is, the acronym is UTI. And with those UTIs, you have a totally different loved one. Their mobility might be compromised, but their behavior is compromised. Sometimes they show stroke-like symptoms, or they might be hallucinating, what they call altered mental status. They become very agitated. So these ADLs is helping somebody to have a quality of life, activities of daily living. Occupational Therapy Month is really special, not only to my senior loved ones, but also my daughter is an occupational therapist, and her specialty was in neuro ICU. So fresh out of a stroke, that somebody's in ICU, it's immediately they're doing their ADLs. They might not be able to walk yet or transfer yet. Her, as the occupational therapist, partnered with the physical therapist and made sure that that was re-engaged. So occupational therapy is very loved by our family, especially by our daughter, who's an OTR, and especially with my son-in-law, who's a neurosurgeon. So he saw a lot of the lasting effects of after having a stroke, or having actually brain surgery or having brain cancer, that how they are compromised. So he sees how important occupational therapy is important. So during this month, love on your occupational therapist. And then also there is CODAs, which they call Certified Occupational Therapist Assistants. Whereas one has a master's degree and the other one has an associate's degree in occupational therapy. They are wonderful. They're a great asset to your senior loved one, and making sure that they are trying to be the best that they can be and independent as they can be. So during this month, very important that we recognize it. One of the other ADLs is eating. Again, it's the actual eating and preparing meals. So that's something that we see a lot of seniors really lose first, more than anything else, is not able to prepare a meal, or the forgetting that the stove is still on. So occupational therapy is also helping with cutting of the food, and the way you're eating, along with speech therapy, is they very intertwine with one another. But eating is one of the other ADLs that we should not neglect in thinking about as well. So with all these ADLs, if one is compromised, just think how much that senior loved one is no longer independent. If there is 2, 3, and 4, that means they should not be alone. There should be some oversight. So really think about your senior loved one before that becomes worsened. Nip it in the bud. May it be getting care in the home or going to senior living and having care 24/7 around them as well too. So whatever that it may be that you might choose, give me a ring. I can help you with that very diligently. Like I said, it's very special to our heart. And I'm going to lead you to my website, which is www.goldenruleseniorplacement.com. There you'll find our bio. You will also find our testimonials. There is all our demographics, along with various options, resources, and a lot of videos that I have taped over the last 6 years that have all different topics. So you have a whole library to look through what might be interest to you. Again, thank you for viewing Tuesday Talks with Linda McKenna. Again, thank occupational therapists during this month. And also, this month is also Parkinson's Awareness Month. So we're going to touch upon that as well too. And ironically, occupational therapy is very involved in that as well. So thank you for viewing. Until next week, have a blessed week. And thank you for viewing Tuesday Talks with Linda McKenna of Golden Rule Senior Placement Services. Bye-bye now.